What if you stopped trying to be liked and started being seen as a luxury no one can afford to ignore? There's a quiet power in knowing who you are and letting the world catch up. The truth is, most people spend their lives trying to impress, trying to fit in, trying to be chosen. But what if you knew that you were already chosen, that the very moment you shifted your inner concept, the world around you would follow? Neville Goddard didn't teach us how to chase love, status, or wealth. He taught us how to embody the version of ourselves that already has it. According to Neville, everything begins in the mind. You are what you assume you are, he said. And the moment you assume yourself to be rare, worthy, magnetic, others have no choice but to respond. In today's video, we're diving deep into 9 keys that will completely shift how people perceive you, not by changing your looks, status, or speech, but by transforming the way you see yourself. These keys are based on Neville's teachings, and they work from the inside out. This isn't about tricking people or playing games. It's about becoming so anchored in your worth that others have no option but to treat you accordingly. Because when you change your assumption, you change your experience. Neville's wisdom isn't always loud. It doesn't scream for attention. It whispers truths so powerful. They rearrange your life without effort. One of the most overlooked truths he shared is this: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And luxury isn't something you earn, it's something you embody. What you'll discover in this video isn't surface-level advice. It's a psychological and spiritual shift, a blueprint for those ready to be seen, respected, and desired without trying. You'll learn why trying to prove yourself actually repels others, why silence can be more magnetic than words, and how true value is broadcast through assumption, not action. Each of the 9 keys we explore today will show you how to stop chasing validation and start radiating certainty. You'll understand how to use Neville's law of assumption, not just for wealth or success, but to elevate your presence, your identity, and your self-worth. And we're not just sharing theory. These are practices you can apply right now. They've helped countless people shift from being overlooked to being unforgettable. You'll hear how Neville's students applied these exact ideas and were met with admiration, love, and success without ever asking for it. There's a reason some people walk into a room and instantly command attention. It's not luck. It's not looks. It's not charisma in the traditional sense. It's inner certainty. It's the self that no longer needs to chase anything because it already knows what it is. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever questioned your value, if you've ever been tired of trying to be chosen, this video is for you. It's time to stop begging for space and start owning it. Stay with us until the end, because the last few keys may be the ones that unlock a completely new version of you. The version that doesn't need to be loud to be heard. The version that doesn't need to demand respect because it's already assumed. This journey isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before the world convinced you to forget. The version of you that was never meant to blend in, but to stand out quietly, powerfully, and effortlessly. You will also discover why Neville emphasized the feeling of the wish fulfilled and how assuming your value internally shapes the way others respond to you externally. It's not magic. It's not manipulation. It's alignment. And the moment you align, life becomes a reflection, not a pursuit. If you've ever wondered why people treat you the way they do, it's because they're responding to your inner broadcast. Change the signal, and everything changes. You are the one sending the message, even when you're silent. That's why the shift must start from within. Welcome to Ignis Mindset, where we awaken your inner power, not by giving you something new, but by reminding you of what's always been within. If you're ready to be seen, not as someone trying to be valuable, but as someone who already is, this video was made for you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, because each week we explore the timeless teachings of Neville Goddard in ways that transform your reality from the inside out. And now, let's begin. But before we talk about how others see you, we must first examine how you see yourself. This is where it all begins. Neville Goddard's law of assumption isn't just about manifesting things. It's about transforming identity. At the heart of it is one timeless truth. You are what you assume you are. Not what you say, not what you hope, but what you assume deep in your consciousness. When you assume yourself to be someone of rare value, that assumption shapes your posture, your speech, your energy. You don't need to shout it. The assumption vibrates from you and others begin to mirror it back. This is not a trick. It is the nature of consciousness. Neville taught that the world reflects your self-concept. Like a mirror, if you believe yourself to be ordinary, overlooked, or undesirable, the world will nod in agreement. But the moment you shift your assumption, the mirror must shift too. You will notice people pause around you, conversations change, eyes linger, doors open. It's not because the world changed, it's because you did. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Those are Neville's words. He meant, if you want to be seen as rare, valuable, and unforgettable, you must first feel it within. Not later, now, not when they notice you, but before they even look. What does that feel like? It's not arrogance, it's quiet certainty. It's a state where you no longer ask, do they like me? But instead you walk with the knowing, I am the one they're lucky to know. And it's not about dismissing others or placing yourself above them. It's about reclaiming the truth of your worth without apology. The first key is not something you perform. It is something you become. Your value is not determined by popularity, praise, or performance. It is revealed through presence. When you assume you are rare, others begin to sense it, even if they can't explain why. This is where we must address one of the most common traps: explaining. So many people try to prove their worth through words, justifications, and long explanations. But true power never explains. It doesn't need to. That leads us to the second key. Stop explaining and start embodying. When you explain who you are, what you've done, or why you deserve something, you're placing your value in the hands of someone else. You're saying, please see me as worthy. But the luxury mindset doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't justify its existence. It simply is. You don't see diamonds trying to explain their price. You don't see fine art asking to be understood. Their value is assumed and protected. And so must yours be. This isn't about being cold or aloof. It's about understanding that real presence speaks louder than 1,000 words. There's something magnetic about a person who is deeply anchored in themselves. They don't need to prove, chase, or convince. Their presence says enough. That's what it means to embody the self-concept. You become it. You walk into a room, not needing to be seen, but knowing you are. Neville often emphasized that the outer world responds to the inner world. This means that if you are still seeking validation, the world will withhold it. Not as punishment, but because you haven't yet given it to yourself. People can only reflect the light you're already shining inward. Think of how often we try to get others to see us in a certain way. We shift our tone, our posture, our words. But the truth is they're responding to your dominant inner state, not the surface level signals. That's why assumption is so powerful. It bypasses effort and enters the realm of essence. Embodying your value is not about pretending. It's about remembering. It's about waking up from the trance that told you you had to earn it, fight for it, or beg for it. You don't. You are already it. The moment you accept this, your energy changes. The chase ends. And ironically, that's when the world begins to pursue you. Neville said, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. That includes how people treat you. They can't help but reflect what you believe you are. So the question is, are you walking through life hoping to be seen, or knowing you already are? Many of Neville's students reported this exact shift. One woman stopped trying to be noticed at work. She stopped staying late, just to be praised. She stopped over-explaining her worth, and instead she began to sit with the feeling of being valuable, indispensable, and deeply respected. Within weeks, not only was she acknowledged, but promoted, without effort, without a word. Her inner shift led to an outer response. This is what we must learn to trust, that the feeling of being a luxury must begin within. When it does, it ripples outward in ways the conscious mind can't always predict. Strangers smile more. Opportunities find you. People treat you as if they've known you forever, or as if they've been waiting for someone like you all along. But none of this starts externally. You can't wait to be treated like a luxury to believe you are one. You must decide first. Assume it, live it, breathe it, and let the world reflect. So stop explaining. Start embodying. Speak less, feel more. Try less, trust more. And remember, assumption isn't something you say. It's who you are. There is a version of you already living the life you dream of, already seen, already valued, already admired. The secret is not to strive for that version, but to align with it. This is the essence of living in the end, one of the most profound principles Neville Goddard ever taught. You don't wait to become, you assume you are, and live from it. To live in the end is not to fantasize or wish. It is to mentally and emotionally dwell in the state where your desire is already fulfilled. If you desire to be seen as powerful, elegant, and valuable, then you must feel and act from that truth now. Not when others give you recognition, not when your outer life validates it. Now, this is not delusion, it is creation. Neville said, if you will but enter the dream of being what you want to be and remain there, the dream will harden into fact. So many people ask, how do I make them see me differently? But the real question is, how do I see myself? Because that is where the mirror begins. If you walk through the world with a sense of lack, the world responds with lack. If you walk through the world as someone who already is, already worthy, already elevated, then everything around you must conform to match that identity. You don't become it after others confirm it. You become it before, and then they must confirm it. The mistake most people make is waiting. Waiting for approval, waiting for the right timing, waiting until they feel ready. But waiting reinforces the idea that you are not yet that person. Living in the end says, I am already her, I am already him. And from that place, you walk, you speak, you dress, you decide. There is a quiet power in this kind of inner knowing, which leads us to the next key, inner silence. This is where elegance is born. The high-value version of you is not reactive. It does not need to explain. It does not defend or chase. It is rooted, centered, unshakable. Neville often spoke of stillness, not as passivity, but as a creative force. When you can hold your vision and not flinch when reality contradicts it, you are exercising true power. Silence, in this context, is not avoidance. It's authority. When someone disrespects you, you don't need to argue. Your silence says, I do not live in that version of me anymore. When someone doubts you, you don't beg to be understood. Your silence says, you'll catch up to the truth when you're ready. That's the energy of someone who knows who they are. In a world that constantly pressures you to react, defend, and prove, inner silence becomes a mark of distinction. It communicates confidence without a word. It says, I am secure, I am certain, I am not available for low-frequency responses. This is what elegance is. Not just in clothes or posture, but in energy. An elegant person doesn't shout. They don't need to. They move differently because they feel differently. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's intention. They are speaking to the world without ever opening their mouth. Neville said, you rise to a higher level of being by assuming that you are already that which you want to be. And when you are that, you don't need to argue for it, you just are. And now we come to one of the most important keys of all, feeling as if you are already admired. not someday, now. This is where we turn to the practice Neville called SATS, stay taken to sleep. It is a deeply relaxed state where the conscious mind is quiet and the subconscious is most open to suggestion. In this state, you impress upon the mind your new identity, not as a wish, but as a fact. You close your eyes, let the body relax, the thoughts begin to slow, and you gently enter the scene. You imagine yourself in a moment where you are already the admired version of you. Maybe you're walking into a room and people turn. Maybe you hear a compliment from someone you respect. Maybe you just feel the sense of deep self-assurance that comes when you know you are seen. Let this feeling become rich, natural. You're not acting, you're remembering. You're reminding yourself what has always been true beneath the noise of doubt. Let the scene loop until it feels familiar, comfortable, effortless. Neville emphasized this again and again. The feeling is the secret. It is not the words you say. It is not how perfectly you visualize. It is the emotion, the inner knowing that makes the difference. When you feel as if it's real, the subconscious accepts it as real. And once the subconscious accepts it, the outer world must obey. There is no outer cause. There is only inner causation. So if you want to be admired, you must first admire yourself, not with arrogance, with reverence, with grace, with calm recognition of your worth. You let that feeling settle so deep that nothing outside you can shake it. And even when the world seems not to notice, you stay in the feeling. Even when others misunderstand, you stay in the knowing. That's what makes it magnetic. That's what makes it real. People are not drawn to desperation. They are drawn to certainty, to serenity, to self-respect. And these are not external traits. They are inner states, cultivated through repetition and feeling, practiced in silence, lived in the unseen, and expressed without effort. Neville's teachings are not about forcing the world to see you differently. They are about seeing yourself rightly, so clearly, so consistently, that the world cannot help but follow. So you live in the end, you stop waiting and start being. You rest in silence rather than reaction. And you feel deeply, truthfully, confidently, that you are already the version of you they admire, respect, and remember. Because in truth, you are not trying to become anything. You are only waking up to what you already are. Luxury doesn't chase. It doesn't seek to be understood. It doesn't lower itself to be accepted. The moment you begin needing approval to validate who you are, you have already placed your identity in someone else's hands. And that is the surest way to lose your power. Neville Goddard taught that your world is yourself pushed out, meaning that the opinions of others are only ever a reflection of your own inner state. If you remain emotionally attached to how others see you, you'll always be dancing to the tune of a world you were meant to command. Detach emotionally from opinion, not from care or empathy, but from dependence. A high-value self-concept does not demand universal agreement. It rests in inner knowing. It walks into a room and doesn't need the room to approve. It already knows its worth, and that knowing becomes the atmosphere. You cannot be both the creator and the beggar. Either you move as the one who defines perception, or you are forever shaped by the shifting winds of other people's minds. When you stop explaining yourself, stop needing to be liked, and stop seeking validation for your choices, you rise, not in arrogance, in clarity, in power, in peace. Neville often reminded us that nothing changes until you do. The world will only begin to see you differently when you stop looking for them to see you at all. It is the self-seer, the one who chooses their own identity and lives from it, who reshapes reality. This is why emotional detachment is not coldness. It's elegance. It's refinement. It's the stillness of someone who knows they do not owe the world their insecurity. When someone misunderstands you, doubts you, or criticizes your growth, that is their mirror. Do not make it yours. The moment you begin reacting, explaining, or justifying, you confirm a version of yourself that no longer exists. Hold your center. Stay composed in silence. There is more power in a pause than in 1,000 explanations. To be truly magnetic, you must learn to not flinch. When doubt is thrown at you, you do not shrink. You observe. When misunderstanding arrives, you do not resist. You allow. This is not weakness. This is presence. It is the presence of someone who has shifted internally and no longer seeks permission to be. And once this detachment begins to settle, you'll notice something else. How you move begins to change. This is where intentional energy takes the lead. Your posture is not just physical, it is energetic. Your walk, your tone, your pace, all of it flows from the self you assume yourself to be. If you move with hesitation, your world responds with delay. If you move with doubt, your world mirrors uncertainty. But when you move from identity, clear, grounded, sure, the path clears. The doors open. People respond not because you're chasing their reaction, but because you've become the cause. Neville was clear. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. That change is not just mental, it must be embodied. Every step you take, every gesture, every glance should say, I know who I am. You don't have to speak it. It's already in the way you breathe, the way you sit, the way you enter a space and don't shrink to fit the room. You let the room expand to meet your frequency. People feel energy before they understand words. They recognize confidence before they comprehend your message. And they respond to intention long before they analyze detail. So ask yourself, what energy are you moving with? Is it deliberate? Is it rooted? Is it calm? You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to be fast to be effective. The most captivating people are often the most still, the most paced, the most intentional. They are not in a rush. They are not proving. They are being, and from that being comes speaking. What you say about yourself is what you affirm into existence. Words are not just noise, they are keys. They either lock you into an old identity or unlock the doorway to your new one. Neville taught that words spoken from the feeling of the wish fulfilled have power. That means you never speak of yourself as anything less than whole. You never describe yourself with terms that contradict who you are becoming. You are not trying to be confident. You are calm. You are not learning to be kind. You are kind. You are not hoping to be respected. You are grounded in respect for yourself. The way you speak should reflect that. There is no room for self-deprecation in the vocabulary of someone who sees themselves as rare. You don't beg. You don't belittle. You don't speak in ways that signal uncertainty. Every sentence is a seed. When you say, I always mess up, you've just planted failure. When you say, I never get chosen, you've just watered rejection. But when you say, I move with grace, I am seen with value, I am treated with care, you are not just talking, you are creating. And what you create in speech, your subconscious will make real. Language is vibration. Speak only what you are willing to experience. Speak only what reflects your chosen identity. Speak only what aligns with the version of you that already exists in the end scene. And when you do, the people around you will begin to echo it. Not because you forced them, but because you became undeniable. This is not about arrogance. This is about alignment. Alignment with the version of yourself that knows, not guesses, knows. You detach from the need to be understood. You move with quiet power. You speak with clarity and elegance. And in doing so, you begin to shift not just how the world sees you, but how it must respond to you, not as a seeker, but as someone who is already seated at the table of their worth. Because in the end, the outer world is only playing the role you've assigned to it. And when you decide to embody the luxury you are, the world will have no choice but to agree. Luxury does not rush. It does not strive. It does not prove. It simply is, and that is its power. Neville Goddard taught that when you rest in the knowing of your desire already fulfilled, The outer world has no choice but to reflect that state. This is the law, not of force, not of chase, but of stillness, of absolute inner conviction. There is a posture of certainty that doesn't need performance, the kind of grace that comes from no longer needing to be seen in order to feel valuable. Those who are admired, respected, adored, they do not move to impress. They move from identity, the kind of identity that is deeply rooted in the unseen, not in what has been proven, but in what has been accepted inwardly as true. This is what Neville meant by living in the end. Rest in the knowing, rest in the truth that you already are all that you wish to be. The world will catch up, but your job is not to chase results. It is to dwell in the feeling of already having them. The truth is, people are always responding to your state, not your effort, not your striving. Your state is determined by what you assume to be true of yourself. That's why those who are seen as rare never act like they're trying to be. They're not waiting to be chosen. They've already chosen themselves. When you truly rest in the knowing that you are valuable, magnetic, and deeply worthy, your energy speaks louder than words ever could. That calmness, the stillness of faith, is unshakable. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. It's already done. And in that stillness, you become selective. You don't entertain what contradicts your self-concept. You don't chase what doesn't reflect your worth. You stop engaging with people, places, and patterns that require you to forget who you are just to be accepted. Neville said, to be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. And that change happens not by effort, but by assumption. When you assume that you are the luxury, the world rearranges itself to match. You begin to move differently. You stop reacting. You start choosing. That's the beauty of resting in the knowing. You are no longer in survival mode. You are no longer trying to earn the very thing you already are. Wealth, admiration, love. They come to you not because you chase them, but because you no longer resist them with disbelief. Most people live in a state of tension, hoping to be noticed, craving to be validated, begging to be chosen. But you are not most people. You are not here to be ordinary. You are here to remember, to return to your true self. The self that doesn't prove, the self that doesn't rush, the self that knows. And it is from this place, this quiet, grounded, unshakable center, that transformation becomes effortless. Not because the outside world changes instantly, but because your perception no longer depends on it. You stop waiting for results to feel worthy. You start feeling worthy, and then results flow. That is the key, the final key. Rest in the knowing. You've now received 9 powerful keys that rewire not only how you see yourself, but how the world responds to you. These aren't tips. These are truths, living principles that when embodied make you magnetic, respected and seen as rare without ever needing to ask for it. You are not meant to be average. You are meant to be extraordinary in your presence, your identity, your self-concept. And when you live from that place, everything you used to chase begins to chase you. So let this truth settle deep into your being. You are the luxury. You are the gift. And the world sees you exactly as you see yourself. There's nothing more to chase, nothing to prove, only something to remember. And that is who you really are beneath all the noise, beneath the doubt, beneath the years of trying to be enough. You are already it. Now I want to hear from you. What key spoke to you the most today? Was it the law of assumption, the art of non-reaction, the power of speaking your identity into existence? Or was it this final key, resting in the knowing that you're already all that you wish to be? Let me know in the comments below. And if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of your power, your worth, your ability to shape reality from the inside out, then don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to stop proving and start assuming. Someone who's ready to release the old identity and step into something rare. And if you haven't already, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Ignis Mindset, and turn on the bell so you never miss a teaching that helps you align with your higher self. Because this journey, this shift in identity, isn't just about looking different. It's about becoming different from the inside out. You're not just learning how to manifest admiration, wealth, or respect. You're learning how to embody the kind of person to whom all those things naturally come. So stop trying, start assuming, and rest in the knowing it's already yours.